Okay, hello everyone. It's Brian. It's Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday. It's been a weird week for those of you who aren't aware. Uh, Monday, about 10 a.m., earthquake, Southern California. Of course, seems like a normal occurrence, but pretty decent trembler. It was a 5.2 on the Richter scale. Sitting here having a meeting with somebody at work, and I got an alert on my phone about 2 to 3 seconds before, and then all of a sudden, knocked a few things off my bookshelf over on my left here, but nothing bad. And I have to remind myself that I work for a rather large company, and some people are new to Southern California, so the internal Slack channel that we use was for this region. In this case, there were a lot of folks that this was their first earthquake ever. So I was like, okay. Some of them were worried about aftershocks. Some of them were worried about going out. Some guy mentioned a crack, checking for cracks in his house, and I was like, okay, you can do that, I guess. It was a 5.2. It was originally reported as a 6.0 or something like that, but it was quickly downgraded. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. I mean, I don't want to say I've been in worse, because it kind of minimizes everyone else, but you've been in a few of them, and then it's just like, okay, we're moving. It's fine. We're going to survive. And yeah, I mean, Hollywood. Hollywood, I think, has ruined earthquakes for a lot of folks, because you've got the Roland Emmerichs out there that are constantly treating every earthquake like it's a massive upheaval and what have you. And yeah, it was good. I mean, it was over quickly, no damage. Probably made the news, but not a huge issue. So my co-host is here today. You here for some threat intelligence discussion? Yes, threat intelligence discussion. Yes, we're gonna have some threat intelligence discussion. And okay. As an update, I have finished the Python section of my. Go on, buddy. This is why we can't have nice things. So I finished the boot.dev. So I finished the Python side. I finished all the Linux stuff, which wasn't difficult. I just finished the Git stuff, which Git is surprisingly powerful. And I know there's a lot of people going, well, duh. But I've never really used it for everything that it is used for. And I imagine that boot.dev is such that they have not shown you everything that boot.dev can do, or I'm not boot.dev, but Git. Git, the command line program for uploading code to repos, or pulling it down, or modifying it, or adding it, or branching, or what have you. We went through rebasing, we went through merging, we committed things, we pushed to origin, we created local origin, we created local repos, we created mains, we created branches, we also designated certain repos as the origin. So in this case, for GitHub, you had to have a GitHub account was one of the things. You also had to create a repo that was public so that it could go and check to see if that is available. And yeah, it wasn't bad. Git ignore was an interesting concept. I mean, it's kind of reminds me of using syncthing or something else for log files, or like the host deny file. So if any traffic comes from that IP address, you're supposed to block it, or anything comes from that port, you're supposed to block it. Git ignore, you block certain files from being uploaded or modified or what have you. And so I started my project in there for the BookBot, which I can now successfully transition. And so one of the things that they were teaching you at the end of the setup here was so we're going to analyze, so the BookBot is going to take a text file that is a book, in this case Frankenstein, the novel. So using VS Code, you're going to add and update. You're going to push to origin. So I had to create a GitHub repo, which I did, called BookBot, which you can actually go to online and see because it's public. Let me see. GitHub.com. So yeah, here's my BookBot. And created a BookBot, and they, this is the README that they want you to use when you're initializing it. This is my first boot.dev project. And then I guess I should pull up the yoink. So where's my VS Code? Oh, it's not here. I haven't added it. Let me see. Video capture, screen capture, there it is. Okay. Add VS Code. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So you'll forgive me, some of my other items are on there. I'm also, building out my there we go. So I'm also building out some of my solo RP stuff as well. So I put that in the wrong transition, or in the wrong scene. So there we go. All right. And transition. There we go. Okay. So, the one thing I found cool about VS Code was when you create a git ignore and you tell it to add certain things here. Let me turn off studio mode so I can see the whole thing. Just maximize it here a little bit. So I created a git ignore right here for books, the books directory, which has the entirety of the Frankenstein book in text format from Project Gutenberg. And so, it goes through the whole thing. So the idea is I thought we were going to be analyzing it like you would using machine learning or AI. So somebody had mentioned that. The outcome of this is to analyze it for the number of E's or for the number of I's or for the number of letters in the document. And other metrics. There have been instances, and I remember this in the news, where they used AI and machine learning to figure out who an author might be. I want to say J.K. Rowling, not a nice person, had written some books under a different pseudonym, Galbraith, I think, a mystery book under the name of Galbraith. Last name, and somebody was able to analyze that book and figure out that she was actually who wrote it. And it's been done a couple of other times with a couple other authors. I'm not exactly sure why we need to unmask those authors, but it is what it is. Let me put myself back on chat. There we go. Hey, Terradome. Oh, thanks, Terradome. Shout out to Terradome. Goodness. All right. Shout out to Terradome. Invoke reversing. Sorry, invoke reversing. There we go. Yeah, thanks for that. Anyway, so just going through boot.dev and working through my assignments. And so, yeah, one of the things that I'm doing as a back-end developer is going to be, analyzing data or, doing data analysis. So yeah, some of it's fairly simple. The bookbot stuff, if you've ever done Python, it's pretty good. And so yeah, I'm gonna probably go back through some of that as well. So we're gonna basically take a file as input, so with open path to file in this case. And then we're going to, as F, and then we're going to do something with that file. So one of the exercises you learned in the earlier Python exercises is how to take a string of text, which is going to be this book, which is completely text, and scan it for things like how many letters, how many words, how many of those various things. So I'll be playing around with that at some point, but let me see. Put VS Code. There we go. All right. So for now, though, I want to do my. So the Socvel cyber quiz came out again. This is from the 11th of April, so it's probably going to come out again tomorrow. But this is a good quiz for staying abreast of threat intelligence stuff. So. Oh, and thanks to some of the feedback, Socvel has re-added the source at the end of every question. Beforehand, it was like, you go and there's like 10 articles you had to read and then you can answer the question, but it didn't have the source for that question in there. So in this case, Operation Endgame played another round of fuck around and find out with the customers of which pay per install botnet. And I guess smoke loader, which was actually correct. And then you can click on the link here if you get it right or wrong and read through Europol's article on Operation Endgame, which is kind of funny that one exists. But they talked about massive botnet takedown by codenamed Operation Endgame in May 2024. The biggest malware droppers, including Ice-T, System BC, Picabot, Smoke Loader, and Bumblebee law enforcement agencies dealt another blow to the malware ecosystem in early 2025. Sure, I'm sure another blow. It's almost like the Hydra, right? Where, you're gonna chop off one head and two more are going to come back. So it's not like it's a huge win, but there's just one less person operating right now that, for smoke loaders pay per install botnet, right? So operated by the actor known as Superstar, faced consequences, arrests, house searches, arrest warrants, knock and talks. Okay. Used his botnet to run a pay-per-install service, enabling customers to gain access to victims' machines. So yeah, follow-up after follow-up. Dedicated site for all of those who want to get involved. All right, so yeah, this is Europol's website, so you can go read that one. All right, number 2, next. Based on Talos 2024 year in review, what did ransomware actors successfully do in 48% of attacks? So this is I don't know who all's still here or not, but it is interactive. So anybody knows the answer to this, feel free to shout it out in the chat in a respectful manner. I'm going to guess, let me see, in review, what did ransomware actors successfully do in 48% of attacks? Publicly taunt victims might be good. Encrypting data, they tend to do that a lot. Exfil data is, they usually exfil it before they encrypt it. Disabling security tools, that one seems about right. I would say that one would probably be, that one seems to me probably be correct. So I'm going to go ahead and click that one. Yes. All right. Excellent. And so, yeah, unfortunately, you're probably going to have to give some fake information no, they're nice. Okay, so they did. Usually these reports that come through from Talos and other TI companies require you to register and give your usernames and your firstborn and phone numbers and such. So let me see if I can find the 48% bit. 48. There we go. No, that's not it. There we go. Disablement of security solutions. 48% had a successful removal of security solutions. So endpoint security or whatever, 31% didn't attempt to do that, 17% is undetermined. So the number could actually be bigger than 48%, depending on that. Unsuccessful removal attempts, only 4% were unsuccessful in removal attempts of those items. Often we see organizations deployed endpoint protection in a passive manner, meaning the product is producing alerts to the user but not blocking malicious activity. Yeah, that's, I mean, that is, I mean, we don't want a negative user experience, especially from a security point of view. I understand why we might want to deploy things in a passive sense, but never actually turn them on. I've seen that in a lot of organizations where you deploy an IPS or IDS. Back in old-timey days, that's what we would deploy to the network. Our network IDS would be in a passive sense because we didn't want it to block any traffic, right? Blocking traffic is bad. Blocking traffic is denial of service. Blocking traffic is going to get the security people blamed. So the idea was you let it listen long enough to figure out what is normal, and then you start selectively blocking things. But you know, sometimes that never happens and it's in passive mode forever. Yeah, in this case, yeah, so disablement of security solutions was 48%. So go take a look at this. Probably a good write-up, something you can use to talk with your own teams about, or your business folks about, you know, things that you might need to look for, or things that you might want to initial access largely achieved via valid accounts. So there you go. 70% of the cases that they looked at were initial access used valid accounts. So that would be like, have I been pwned? You know, somebody found some, you know, have I been pwned records or breach or something. So, which also would lead to, you know, how did this get a valid account? Was it volunteered by the person, or password reuse? You know, so you know, password reuse could still be a thing. So yeah, only 20% of actors hit public-facing applications, and 12% was a drive-by compromise. So that's telling, right? Interesting. Prevalent use of valid accounts shines a light on the role of initial access brokers in the ransomware ecosystem. Compromised credentials remain a valuable commodity, keeping IABs in business and streamlining adversaries' operations. Right. So they're gathering our, you know, accounts for from breaches, or from from accounts where people might be using passwords over again. So yeah. It's not good, but you know, it still happens. GTIG, so this is Google Threat Intelligence Group, detailed a campaign where a TA threat actor has used RDP, a remote desktop protocol. What were the victims tricked into doing? Accepting an incoming RDP. I don't know about, I don't know. I don't think so. Launching an RDP file. I would hope that they would have some kind of, if it was an email, they have some kind of thing blocking the RDP files from coming in. Running a PowerShell command. That one seems like Occam's razor. It seems like the most likely one that you could make someone do. Oh, shit. Launching an RDP file. Wow. Okay. Did not know that one. All right. Let's see. Yeah, Google Threat Intelligence Group. Novel phishing campaign. Is it novel? Is phishing novel anymore? Yeah. So espionage, Russia Nexus espionage actor 5837 campaign employed signed RDP file attachments to establish remote desktop protocol connections from the victim's machines. Unlike RDP attacks on interactive sessions, this campaign creatively leveraged resource redirection, mapping file systems to the attacker servers. and remote. God, okay. Presenting attacker-controlled applications to victims. Evidence suggests this campaign may involve the use of an RDP proxy called PyRDP. Oh, PyRDP. RDP monster in the middle. Oh, interesting. So instead of man in the middle, monster in the middle. That's pretty nice. And a library for Python with the ability to watch connections live or after the fact. And this is a legitimate tool. Okay. Well, obviously it's a legitimate tool. So whoever, you can thank these people who created this for allowing Russia-backed actors to do nefarious shit. So good job, makers of PyRDP. Hope you feel good about that. So good job. Good job, you. This technique's been previously dubbed Rogue RDP. All right. Campaign likely enabled attackers to read victim drives, steal files, capture clipboard data, including passwords, and obtain victim environment variables. There you go. Great. Great, 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 great. Oh, looks like they, yes, obviously, looks like legitimate email from Amazon. Executing the signed attachment initiates an RDP connection from the victim's machine. Yes. God, yeah, that kind of sucks because, you know, a normal person would be like, oh, this doesn't look normal. It's an RDP connection to MS Paint. Seriously? Come on, man. Jesus. Signed nature of the file bypasses the typical yellow warning banner, which could otherwise alert the user of potential security risk. More information on signature-related characteristics of these files is covered in a later section. Great. Well, this is a good write-up. Take a look. I don't want to bore everybody with every article, but you can follow up with that. By the way, for those of you who are interested, I will switch back to just me. We are going to have an interview on Sunday. I've already got, as long as everything goes well, the person's already accepted, so we're going to have them on. Bronwyn Acker, who is the person, Bronwyn Acker. So Bronwyn is going to be joining us, hopefully, on Sunday. She is an internet security professional. She works at Black Hills InfoSec. She is also an alum of the Cyber Talent Immersion Academy for Women. She has GCIH, GCFE, and GSEC SAN certifications. She was also teaching the LLM, the local LLM course at B-Side San Diego. That's how we met. And she's a geek, so love it. She's a fan of Star Wars and Star Trek. I wish she had put Star Trek first on the list and then Star Wars, but that's neither here nor there. And yeah, you can, follow her online, but we're going to have her on at least for a couple hours talking about local LLMs, setting up your own, kind of like the workshop she did at, sorry, there it is. All right. The local the LLM class that she took at B-Side San Diego. So we're going to do some of that. I'm going to have to figure out what I'm going to do because I think my Proxmox is ready to go. The VM she was going to send me won't work on my Silicon Mac, which I may actually run it on my Surface and then run it through a capture card too. So I could do that as well. But we'll have something. It'll be very resource intensive, and hopefully she'll be able to, we'll be able to set together and make that happen. So check that out Sunday night. I think we're starting at 6:30 p.m. Pacific. So if you are available at 6:30 p.m. Pacific, we will be doing that. So yeah. All right, next. F5, so the networking company that creates firewalls and such, detailed EC2 instances targeted via SSRF, server-side request forgeries, which best describes SSRF to a child. So explain SSRF like I'm a child. So the server gets tricked, the server falls over, the server stops listening, or the server runs a script. Wheel. Server-side request forgery. And I met some friends this weekend, and they remembered, or they knew that I have a stream and a podcast and whatever. This is the second time that I've been told by somebody that has tried to watch our stuff that they don't understand a lot of what I'm talking about. And I feel bad for that because I want them to learn and I want people to learn. And they shouldn't, be confused when watching our stream or watching our show because we want people to learn. And we don't want them to be lost, and we want them to ask questions. So again, if you're lost and watching this, please feel free to ask questions. I am a font of knowledge, or my Google, my Google's on fleek, and I can always AI something up if somebody has any questions about something. I have no compunctions about doing that. AI, asking an AI a question is the new Google dorking. So in this case, server-side request forgery is a fairly well-known web application security problem, and it allows an attacker to cause the server to make requests to an unintended location. So this is from Portswigger, which is the creator of Burp Suite, which is a fairly decent hacking tool for doing things like web interception proxies and web application pen testing. It's free, and it has plugins and things. I've been using Burp since before it had plugins. The new version, the paid version is fairly decent, and they have a DAST utility now for dynamic web vulnerability scanning. But they have a professional version, which is well worth the cost if you want to get the license for it. But the community edition's probably still fairly powerful and will do about 80%, 90% of what you might see on a regular basis. So, server-side request forgery, web security vulnerability allows an attacker to cause the server-side application to make requests to an unintended location. So if we explain that like they're 5, the server gets tricked. Or it makes a request so I would say the server gets tricked. So the server gets tricked into doing something based on data that it receives or a request that it receives. Active CVEs for 2025 March. There's a PHP unit remote code execution vulnerability. Continues to dominate scanning activity with close to 15 times the activity of the second most active CVE this month. So apparently there's enough PHP unit stuff out there that people are using that is exposed to the internet that people feel like they need to do a lot of scanning to find that. So F5 is keeping track of that somehow, probably through maybe checking. What they're doing is they're probably in aggregate collecting logs from the appliances that people have opted into potentially to allow them to look and see what kind of things are coming in. Maybe through threat intelligence feeds or, telemetry that is collected by the F5 border devices. Looks like 2023-1389 TP-Link Archer remote code execution vulnerability on one of these Soho routers, right? Smaller home office routers. PHP CGI arguments affecting Windows systems exploiting a character encoding bug. Okay, so some of these are not new. Wow, the PHP unit one is a 2017 CVE. That's weird. Despite being 8 years old, the CVE saw very little monthly scanning over the past few years. Okay. Maybe we detected a huge increase in scanning for it beginning in May 2024. Why is that? Maybe they're targeting certain things, or maybe they found something in TP-Link that or other places that use PHP unit. So, good exploitation. Yeah, amongst our passive data, we detected a brief spike in activity targeting insecure websites hosted within EC2 instances in AWS. This is a novel campaign unrelated to a CVE. While the exploitation technique is straightforward, there's a bit more understanding the technical side of this exploit. Ooh. Okay, give me a second here. I want to add this to our threat intel feed on our BreakSec Slack, which you can join if you'd like. I need to All right, add that to the threat intelligence brief. There we go. Yeah, all right. So I'll continue reading that one later. I've got that one. Oh, so yeah, EC2 instance metadata SSRF campaign by source IP. Okay. Very cool. Combination of 200 exposure of sensitive information to an unauthorized actor and 918 server-side request forgery. Techniques relatively straightforward. Get requests like URL equals website. Oh, that's the 169.250. Yeah, that's the that's an interesting IP address for that. Yeah. That one's for auto reconfiguration kind of thing. So all 6 distinct variations of the parameter dest file redirect target URI URL combined with 4 variations in the subpath were used in the campaign below. Okay. Yeah. Anywho, yeah, go take a look at that. Obviously, there's some IOCs in here. You can go and check the traffic for that, targeting trends. Yeah, I've started really enjoying looking through large data sets and using tools other than Excel to manipulate them. In this case, with the use of AI, by the way. So the way I'm doing it is I'm taking for a table, like a Hadoop table with just a key value pair, I take the fields from the table. So it's like, date is a string, those kind of int, Boolean, those kinds of things. I copy that into the AI and then I say, give me a query in HiveQL, for instance, that will allow me to show ticket age or will show number of severity of issues across these number of different places. And usually the AI does a pretty good job of giving that answer. It does a damn sight better for queries than it does for, say, programming. And it really depends on what kind of access it has to the original data structures. So sometimes you can upload a file of the data that you're talking about and then say, give me a query that will give me the next, the second order analytics. So just kind of interesting to see the use of AI there, especially because I'm not understanding of how HiveQL works. So having something that can help me understand that, and then if I don't understand, I'll be like, explain to me what this is doing, because kind of want to understand what it's doing if somebody asks me that question myself and it's like, oh, this enumerates through, it set, grabs all these these fields and it's going to set this logic in place and what have you. So just nice to see that. Makes it easier because sometimes for somebody like ADHD, I live in adrenaline land or and causes me stress when I can't figure something out necessarily. So having that extra person to go to is helpful. So next, number 5, Sentinel-1 uncovered the AkiraBot framework. What does it use to generate unique messages for its SEO spam? What does it use to generate unique messages for its SEO spam? Sweatshop workers? I don't think that one's correct. I want to believe it makes sense that they would, Grok is the AI for Twitter. LLM in general is the more general version of that, and then it just uses random numbers. For SEO, it would seem like you would not want to use a random value to increase SEO spam. You would want to use a certain thread. I can't imagine it's I can't imagine it's that. I can't imagine it's sweatshop workers. So I'm going to go with either Grok or LLM. I want to say Grok, because it seems like that would be used for nefarious stuff. it is LLM. It's a more generic LLM. Okay. AkiraBot, AI-powered bot, passes CAPTCHAs, spams websites at scale. Okay. It's a framework used to spam website chats and contact forms en masse to promote a low-quality SEO service. As Sentinel Labs assesses that AkiraBot. Hey, Age of Music, how you doing? Isn't it using OpenAI? Yeah, bot uses OpenAI to generate custom outreach messages based on the purpose of the website. Yes, it does. So, yeah. +1 to Age of Music. How you been, Age of Music? Hope you're doing all right. I'm gonna post that article up. I knew it had to be. I knew it couldn't be sweatshop workers. Random didn't make much sense because you're trying to build an SEO service or what have you. Grok, I was like, well, maybe it's using the links that Grok creates or something. Yeah, I was just thinking out loud there. But yeah, LLM makes more sense. Oh, well, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, you're moving. Oh, where are says you move? So are you moving somewhere else? Where are you moving to? Okay. We'll move along and I'll see what Sage is talking about. Which cybersecurity company had its staff security clearances suspended by, I'm not even going to call him that, by Trump this week? I know this one only because I heard there was a lot of outrage. I saw a lot of articles on LinkedIn about this. It's, of course, Sentinel-1. The reason is because they hired Chris Krebs, who worked at CISA. Oh, I see. Roll with the punches. Okay. All right. Very cool. Yeah. Sentinel-1 hired Chris Krebs from CISA after he left. And a lot of people are saying that the reason this was done was because Chris Krebs made comments that the 2020 elections, which our current sitting person who sits in the White House still believes was stolen from him. Chris Krebs had made comments that was the most legitimate election in recent memory or whatever. It was the most safe election that had ever occurred. And in retaliation for that, and I think I talked about it on one of the last streams as well, they kicked everyone with a security clearance to Sentinel-1 out and revoked those. And so, yeah. Orders the direct head of every federal agency to revoke any active clearance held by Chris Krebs, suspends any active clearance held by individuals at entities associated with Krebs, including Sentinel-1, pending a review of such clearances are consistent with the national interest. And the order calls for Krebs' activities as government employee, including his leadership at CISA, or calls for a review of Krebs' activities as a government employee. It will include a comprehensive evaluation of all of his activities over the last 6 years and will identify any instances where Krebs or CISA's conduct appears to be contrary to the current administration's commitment to free speech and ending federal censorship. So the Department of Peace and Love and straight up 1984 kind of shit. So I'm sure he is committed, blah, 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 whatever. Definitely is committed. So he's already revoked clearances held by intelligence official, whatever. Okay, fuck this. It's a fact sheet, whatever. I'm not even going to click. If you want to go to that link, go to Socvel's cybersecurity thing and get the link. There's no fact sheet here for this. All right, so secret. That's an interesting way of saying secret. I think it's Secret Labs. Interesting. Uncovered new tactics of Pakistan linked side copy APT. What do they use MSI files for? So MSI files are Microsoft installation files. They're like the exe, but on crack. Basically, they're the next generation of installation files. So what would they use them for? I don't think they'd use them for, I think they want to bypass EDR. It seems like the most likely For me anyway, that if I wanted a legit MSI file. MSI file is very much like an archive, right? I think you can unpack it and it's got files inside. So if they can repackage it as an MSI, EDRs would be less likely to block an MSI file versus like an EXE or something like that. So my guess, bypassing EDR. Shit, staging payloads, shit. I react the same way when I don't get answers right on Jeopardy. So, hello HTA, goodbye HTA, hello MSI, new TTPs and clusters for APT driven by multi-platform attacks. Okay. One notable shift in recent campaigns is the transition from using HTML application files to adopting Microsoft installer file packages as primary staging mechanism. Oh. Okay. And they're targeting Indian government, defense, maritime, and university students, including, they were targeting those folks. Now they're expanding to include railway, oil and gas, and external affairs ministries. There you go. Threat actors are evolving tactics to evade detection, and the shift is driven by persistent use of DLL sideloads and multi-platform intrusions. So, hey, async rat. Hey, look at that, async rat. Remote access Trojan, for those of you who are watching and may not know, rats are remote access Trojans. Key findings, usernames associated with attacker, email IDs are impersonating government personnel with cybersecurity backgrounds utilizing compromised IDs, fake domains mimicking e-governance service with an open directory is used to host payloads and credential phishing login pages. 13 subdomains and URLs host login pages for various RTS services for multiple city municipal corporations. The official domain of the National Hydrology Project had been compromised to deliver malicious payloads. Great. So they're all using some sort of rat. Xeno rat, Spark rat. Come on up. Come on, async rat. There you go. Curlback rat down here, utilizing DLL sideloading techniques are used. Registers the victim with a C2 server via UUID and supports file transfer using curl. Okay. Is there anything curl can't do? So yeah, you can go check that one out too. So. Bear. I really wish I could Control-C, Control-V inside of Twitch. I do not know why I can't do that on a MacBook. So close that, 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 close that. There we go. All right. Gotta finish strong. The Tech Transparency Report warned of which apps on the Apple Store that are sending traffic via sus Chinese entities. I want to say I read this one. This one's VPN apps, because I was like, how many VPN apps can you freaking have on the App Store? If it's not NordVPN, which I refuse to have them, refuse to take them on as advertiser, because I think they try to lull people into a false sense of security, but I think this one is VPN apps. Yeah. Apple offers apps with ties to Chinese ministry. Okay, sure, why not? Come on, Apple, do better. Millions of Americans have downloaded apps that secretly route their internet traffic through Chinese companies. Oh, God. The problem is, so this is probably due to back when all the shit was going on with TikTok. People were like, TikTok's going to go away, and then they started getting on there for, I don't want to say about 1 to 2 weeks there, people were starting to use other Chinese-based apps for social media sharing and what have you. And it would probably make sense that some of those apps required the ability to mask their IP address or to go through those. So TTP investigation found 1 in 5 of the top free virtual private networks in the App Store were surreptitiously owned by Chinese companies, sure, which are obliged to hand over users' browsing data to the Chinese government under national security laws, sure. Depending on what they collect. Several of the apps trace back to Kihu 360, a firm declared by the Defense Department to be a Chinese military company. Okay, so what? When were they declared that? Before or after? Let's see, 2021? 2022. Okay, I'll cover that. I'll call that good. Okay. I would say in this current regime, I'm not going to trust anything the Defense Department says about anybody or anything. VPNs, yeah, mask IP addresses that can identify them in theory keep browsing private. It's not private. Even the legitimate VPN companies will keep logs. And if they don't keep logs, all it takes is a law enforcement letter to say, keep an eye out on this IP address, monitor the logs for that. You can't not keep logs. Every VPN will keep logs of something to make sure that they're following local guidelines. Unless you're using something that, even if they tout themselves as, they're not keeping those logs, they're keeping something. There is a trail regardless of what they say. In the US, kids often download free VPNs to play games or access social media during school hours. Great, which means it's compromising school computers, which, like our friend CISO of Seattle Public Schools, has enough shit to deal with. But they've got kids downloading VPNs that allow them to get past web content filtering and do other things because they want to play some, Flappy Birds or whatever. Hard for U.S. users to avoid Chinese VPNs. The ownership many appeared deliberately opaque, with several concealing their structure behind layers of offshore shell accounts. Like the people who are downloading the Chinese VPNs give a shit. They just want to do what it is that they need to do. And like they said, children aren't going to give a shit about which VPN is going through an offshore shell company or not. They just want to be able to get around web content filtering or around parental controls or bypasses or something like that. So, well, they won't get around parental bypass controls, but if they have web content filtering on their kids' compute devices, or they're using them to control what their kids are watching through some kind of service like a Net Nanny or something, you can use the VPNs to get around that kind of stuff. Yeah. So, all right, let's finish strong here. Come on, we got like one more. Bushido token explored the links between Evil Corp and Ransom Hub. Which one is a known Evil Corp tactic? There's a question in here somewhere. Bushido token must be somebody important or some organization. Evil Corp and Ransom Hub are, I don't knows, threat actors. Which one is a known Evil Corp tactic? So I'm just going to have to guess here, right? Fake downloads, Sock Golish. I actually want to know what Sock Golish is. Let's go see what Sock Golish is. Sock Golish. Threat detection report. It's a malware family that leverages drive-by downloads masquerading as software updates for initial access. Okay. Oh, GHO. Okay. So there's copy. So that's what Sock Golish is, or Ghoulish, something like that. All right. So I'm going to go with that. That sounds as good as any. Evil Corp from Mr. Robot, probably agent. Somebody thought, hey, it's probably pretty cool to create Evil Corp. So my guess is there's a real Evil Corp out there based on somebody who watched an episode of Mr. Robot. Okay, there you go. See, that I had no idea, so I was just guessing. So that makes sense. Tracking adversaries, Evil Corp, the Ransom Hub affiliate. So Python backdoor, aka Viper Tunnel, Sock Golish operators, aka UNC 1543 or 2165, Lockbit ransomware as a service. Ooh, Ransom Hub ransomware as a service, and traffic distribution system, Kitaro. There you go. Oh, the Russian group. Yeah. Focus of this blog is Evil Corp, a sanctioned Russian-based cybercriminal enterprise known for launching ransomware, and Ransom Hub, a prominent ransomware as a service operation run by Russian-speaking cybercriminals. Russian-speaking, interesting. They speak Russian, doesn't necessarily mean they are Russian. They could be, I hope it's not Ukrainian, but, you know. These two threat groups have been linked together through cooperation on intrusions and IOCs and TTPs shared by multiple CTI sources. Implication of this link is critical due to Ransom Hub being the most active ransomware gang and is working with a well-known sanctioned affiliate. So, cool. Never heard of Bushido token before, so as a researcher, so I will see if I can add them to my list of things. Let me see. New tab. Feedly. Threat intel. Create. Follow source. Bushido token. Threat intel. There we go. All right. Follow. Threat intel. There we go. All right. Added them to my list. Attack lifecycle and observed intrusions leading to Ransom Hub deployments. So they have initial compromise, establishing foothold, and then maintaining presence, escalating privilege, internal reconnaissance, moving laterally. So they have, so the GCIH that I just renewed, the last time I took it, Cobalt Strike, Cobalt Strike, the gift that keeps on giving. Thank God that the creators of Cobalt Strike can sleep at night. Thankfully, you know, helping out bad guys. You know. Hey, orcs, welcome. Thank you for coming and joining. So yeah, appreciate you. Thanks for being here. Yeah, so what? Evil Corp has been under sanctions since 2019, making it illegal for affected organizations to pay ransoms to them without facing fines by the Treasury's Office of OFAC. So Treasury's OFAC, Office of Foreign Assets Control. Despite these sanctions, Evil Corp has continued its cybercriminal activities by adapting its tactics to include rebranding the ransomware and becoming an affiliate of RAS operations, Lockbit and Ransom Hub. Evil Corp's affiliation with Ransom Hub raises the possibilities that Ransom Hub may soon face sanctions similar to those imposed on Evil Corp. Yeah, I think we're probably too busy with tariffs right now to be able to be worried about OFAC, you know. So I think Evil Corp's going to be okay for a while, or Ransom Hub's going to be okay for a while, because we're too busy trying to screw ourselves over, shoot ourselves in the foot. So my CTFs, oh. Does he have CTFs? Does Bushido token have CTFs? I don't know if it's a him or her or them. OSINT CTF together. Oh, that's pretty cool. So if you want to do these CTFs, you can email theinsiderthreat@gmail.com to start. If they didn't make the tools, threat actors would. The good guys made a bad tool and then let it get leaked, and bad guys have actually improved it. So, yeah, I mean, I get it, but I'm just, yeah, it's the age-old problem of, you know, if good guys don't create the tools that bad guys can use, then, you know, bad guys will make them anyway, right? So, it would just been nice if they hadn't leaked it in the first place. You know what I mean? Or hadn't done, you know, if they had been secure enough and not had leaked it themselves, right? Yeah, but you know, they made a really nice tool and then just decided to give it away. So, all right, next. There we go. Oh, one more. Okay. Silent Push reported on Scatter Spider's activities. They acquired an expired domain previously associated with which company, likely for use in future attacks? Ooh. You know what? I'm thinking Microsoft and LinkedIn, which is also owned by Microsoft, do a fairly decent job of keeping track of their domains. Having worked for a company that has a number of domains themselves, I understand the process and the behind the scenes on how they keep track of their expired domains, usually by a third party. They hire a third party to help park those domains. My guess is Twitter, because it's owned by some shit weasel, and they probably allowed some of their older Twitter domains to go away. And I'm guessing that in this case, oh, wait a minute. Did I get it right? That was weird. Huh. I don't know why it did that to me, but I'm doing pretty good right now. I'm 4 for 4. Okay, the last one was green. Okay, so I got 6 out of 10, right? Yeah. Okay, LLM. Sentinel-1. Staging payloads. I didn't get the link to that one either, so that was the other reason I wanted it. Okay. Socvel and Twitter. So there it goes. Okay. Scattered Spider. Okay, so I got that one right. Still hunting. It's still hunting for victims in 2025. Silent Push determined involving Scattered Spider is actively hunting for victims. Services targeted by Scattered Spider include Klaviyo, HubSpot, and Pure Storage. So these are companies, I guess. HubSpot, yeah. All right, so there's the link to that. Chick-fil-A, Credit Karma, Forbes, Instacart, Louis Vuitton, Morningstar, New York Digital Investment Group, News Corp. They aren't all bad then, I guess, in this case. Nike, Paxos, Twitter X, Tinder, T-Mobile, and Vodafone. So, you know, they're attacking some good. They're doing some good in some cases, but yeah, Instacart and Forbes and all those. Scattered Spider phishing kits, which have been used since at least 2023. Some of these kits have several updates alongside dozens of their code fingerprints and technical deployments. Right now, it appears their legacy phishing kits are also being deprecated. Oh, that's a shame. There you go. They acquired a domain, twitter-octa.com, previously owned by Twitter and X. This domain was likely part of a previous brand protection effort, but it is unclear if the domain will be used to target Twitter X directly or users of the service. It'll be effective in some cases, but I think Twitter dropped that version of MFA a while ago, so makes sense. But yeah, it's a fairly decent write-up here for all of the TTPs and everything here. Background, yeah, Unk3944, Star Fraud, Octo Tempest, Scatter Swine, Muddled Libra. Okay, goes by many names. Also known as the Community, the Com, or the Com with just one M. So, yeah. Oh, so they were also responsible for the MGM breach in September 2023 and the Twilio breach in August 2022. Oh, interesting. Interesting. The domain klv1.it.com. Okay, is based on the HTML title, but the subdomain is terribly close to Klaviyo, making it hard to find with classic brand regex searches. Okay. Oh. There were allegations that Scattered Spider also compromised Snowflake. Okay. Wow. 7 Scattered Spider members, including the leader, were arrested in 2024. 5 were charged by U.S. prosecutors. Operations started to slow down. Just slowed down. They didn't actually stop. So maybe they didn't get everybody. Details from the arrests, among other reports, confirm most members are young and based in the U.S., U.K., and Europe. Sure. Changes observed in 2025 allude to new developers and or technical obfuscation method decisions being made. So maybe they recruited. Maybe it's a bad job market and it's pushing people into maybe using their skills for less than legitimate reasons. So yeah, there you go. All right. Well, that's good. All right. So yeah, I did good. I mean, I had 6 of 10 or something like that, which, I did pretty good. You can go check out Socvel's quizzes on the reg if you want to. Here is the link to that again. There you go. So, is everyone doing all right? I mean, let me turn some stuff off here. Bronwyn, yes. It's interesting learning new things. It makes my brain feel kind of twitchy right back up here on top. Like when I'm learning new languages or what have you. So, let me see. So, I think so one of the things on boot.dev is after you leave the Python side and after you learn all the Git, funding for MITRE's CVE expires tomorrow. Really? Hey, Walt, funding for MITRE's CVEs expires tomorrow. Is that a news story or something? MITRE funding expires. Oh. MITRE says funding set to expire for its work on crucial vulnerability program. Okay. Organization said federal funding will. Oh well. Okay, that makes sense. Well, that is bad. My guess is that it probably will not be renewed because of government efficiency or whatever. There's the link right there. I'll get rid of the text bit when I searched for it. I don't like sometimes so all the text here is going to be removed. There we go. So Barsoom added in the statement, the government continues to make considerable efforts to support. Really? Come on, guy, don't lie. Who are you? Are you the PR weasel or something? President and director for the Center for Securing the Homeland at MITRE. That is an odd title. Center for Securing the Homeland. Yeah, I don't like that title. That sounds odd. Government remains committed. Yeah, MITRE remains committed to CVE as a global resource. MITRE letter posted multiple social media sites Tuesday was addressed to a CVE board member and signed by Barsoom. Said that the current contracting pathway for MITRE's work on the CVE program will expire on Wednesday. If a break in service were to occur, we anticipate multiple impacts to CVE, including deterioration of national vulnerability databases and advisories, tool vendors, incident response operations, and all manner of critical infrastructure. Yeah. BugCrowd founder Casey Ellis said CVE program underpins a huge chunk of vulnerability management, incident response, and critical infrastructure protection efforts. Sudden interruption in services has very real potential to bubble up to a national security problem in short order. what are you going to do? You know, that sucks. But I mean, unless somebody with deep pockets or, you know, some billionaire or some company comes in to swoop in and give them an emergency funding shot, I don't really know what they should expect from our current regime. Maybe they get out from underneath of, you know, the thumb of the United States and become an international group, and then maybe some other countries can, you know, start giving them money, or nonprofits or NGOs or something like that can help out with that. Hey, maybe they can do like Wikipedia, where you go to their website and they ask for $5. I don't know. Maybe we could crowdsource it. You know, if it's a tool that people can actually get any benefit out of. You know, there's other CNAs out there, not just MITRE. I think we've talked about that. I mean, how many CNAs are there? Let me see. That's not what I wanted. Certified nursing assistants. No. CVEs. Yeah, so according to CVE.org, there are 453 different CNAs. These are vendors, researchers, open source, CERT, hosted services, bug bounty providers, and consortium organizations authorized by the CVE program to assign CVE IDs to vulnerabilities and publish CVE records with their own specific scopes of coverage. So there are a number of them. Will some of that I have to wonder about in this article about is it overblown? Obviously, they want to raise awareness. They want to, like, oh my God, CVE is going to go away. It's not really going to go away. There, as we've seen, there are 420, what did I say, 453 in 40 different countries that are still going to be able to issue CVEs. Some of them are companies, some of them are various working groups. So there's working groups involved. Let's see, partnerships with, yeah. So I mean, the information is out there. I mean, if you want to feel good about it, you can grab the CVSS calculator and that. I'm sure that MITRE does great work with a lot of different things. I mean, they have the attack matrix, they have the defend matrix, they have those things. That stuff has been forked and rehashed numerous times by other companies, other threat intelligence companies. Either our government will give them money or they won't. That's that's it. Now, will they have issues? Yes, they probably will if they don't get federally funded. I don't know how to speak to that, but the idea of CVEs won't go away if there's still organizations that can issue those. And it may be that they'll have to change their funding mechanisms or their how they operate to accept, non-U.S. government money, which could be a good thing. Reduce that influence and make it a little more independent of that. I mean, we've seen that like with Firefox. How many percent? 30, 40 some percent of their funding was coming from Google because they were giving them money for including Google as part of their searches or what have you. If your business relies on one or two companies, those companies are going to exert influence on you. I've seen it at a couple of consultancies and confidentially worked at one that, a lot of money would come in from FANGs that could then basically take advantage of us because they kind of understood that they were giving a lot of money and there were some issues there. So you have to figure out how to diversify yourselves when you are if all your money is coming from one place. So hopefully MITRE will find some funding in some method or way. Maybe they will Maybe they can go public. Maybe they can start their own organization with VC funding or what have you. I could see that. Maybe they become a company instead of a nonprofit or whatever function they are, and taking money from the United States government. Because I doubt they would have sent this letter if they didn't, if they weren't overly worried about that, right? So, well, let's hope they get better, and they figure out what they're doing. So I think I'm going to go ahead and get prepped and ready for dinner tonight. So let me go see if anybody is online, because correctly, live channels, RuneScape. Oh, wait a minute, this is not what I was looking for. Log out and log in. No, there we go. I need a code. Anybody got somebody they want to raid? Because I'm all in on the raiding bit. Twitch. There we go. Sid Heresy, Theo, Figma, huh? Let me go see what's going on over here. Okay. Let's go learn some OpenSSL. Let me see. Theo, raid, Theo. All right, well, I'm gonna go prep for dinner. We're gonna raid Theo, who's working on some OpenSSL stuff and some crypto stuff. So something called dev mode. What the F, Figma, dev mode drama is insane. So we're gonna go and looks like some bug bounty related items. So, Figma's dev mode trademark sparks developer outrage. Okay, cool. Yeah, hope everyone enjoys. Take care. I'll see you on Friday, and we'll talk soon. All right, later. Bye, everybody.